more hiring labor is required, it can get very expensive. And I believe the cost for the Vandenberg out in Florida Keys was well over $1 million. And again, the Artificial Reef Society, we've been very fortunate to have had so much volunteer and in-kind contributions that have been able to let us do this in a cost-effective manner. Oh yes, my mom and dad just emailed in, so hi Mom and Dad, glad you're watching. Watching from Brantford, Ontario. Klaus Kollenberg sailed on Annapolis on both coasts. Blair and Rupert Koslich, who actually live here on Gambier Island, but they're currently watching from Waco, Texas. Gilbert Schramm, 1970-1974, served on Annapolis. Jim Novak served on the Annapolis during the 1976 Olympics. John Newton, Sr., former chief bosunmate in 1968, when they escorted the Queen Mother to Newfoundland. Westport, Ontario, just outside of Kingston. Roger Hogan served on Annapolis. I have a viewer from China. Glad you're enjoying it. Thank you for emailing in. What's that? Oh, okay. Looks like the demolitions crew are now getting out on the tug, and so we should be just a few minutes away. And again, once again, I'll just check the framing here. The problem is I don't think my camera is perfectly aligned with the computer, so I think it's pointing right at the center of the ship, but it seems to be a little bit away from it. Oh, someone asking who the narrator is. No, it's not Anton. My name's Larry Reeves. I'm one of the directors of the Artificial Reef Society. I've been a director for the last 13 and a half years. I started off working on the Cape Breton project in the late 90s when I first became a scuba diver, and was invited onto the board just at the end of the Cape Breton project. It's been an incredibly wonderful, interesting time all through that. And again, it's been a very long project, but despite all of our setbacks and difficulties we encountered along the way, it feels wonderful now to get to this day. Watching from Shawville, Quebec, who was in the Navy for 30 years. And the first ship was the Chaudière, Robert Anderson. And coincidentally, the Chaudière was the first ship that the Artificial Reef Society sank, the first destroyer.
What's that timeline?
Well, the demolitions crew is just getting off on the barge now, or the other tugboat, and so I would expect it's within a few minutes.
Within a few minutes?
Yep.
Okay. That's good to know. So everybody's off the ship now, because you can see the last few people that we saw on the ship are now on that tugboat.
Yeah.
Nice.
The last boat.
Okay. How's your webcast going?
Oh, wonderful. I've got people calling in from all over the world.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What's that? I don't have a number, but I mean, I must be up to about almost 100 emails by now. So we've had over 200 who had signed up for it. I'm sure with all the dive shops that are showing it, we must have a very large crowd. So again, it's wonderful to have everyone joining us to watch this. And again, I think we are just within minutes. It looks like the demolitions crew is... Don't touch any of that, please.
We had a power cord through this phone.
Oh.
That would be... But will we get a siren if this thing goes?
There'll be 12 short air horn blasts.
Short air horn blast.
Yeah.
All right, that's what we're waiting for.
Sorry for the side conversation here. One of the reporters who's out here on the barge with us. And I think we're drifting a bit. Just double check the angle. Yeah, that's quite a... My camera on my PC is definitely not very well aligned with going straight out. Tuning in from Kent in the UK. Welland, Ontario. Oops. From Toulon in France. It suggested that I move it. Move it down a little bit so I don't have quite as much sky. Okay. There we go. Watching from Esquimalt, a naval base on Vancouver Island, part of Victoria. Oh, watching from sunny Cozumel. Ah, lucky you. Cozumel is one of the beautiful dive sites in the world. Wonderful marine life they have there. Watching from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, sailed on the Saguenay in the 1980s, one of the other Canadian destroyers. Watching from over the snowbank in Moncton, New Brunswick. Friday Harbor, Washington, on the San Juan Islands. Again, welcome. What is the anticipated depth of the resting site, someone has asked. It's about 100 feet at normal tide, where we've got the ship situated. You see all the ropes that are attached to the ship. It's holding it very precisely in place, as close as we can, because there's sort of a narrow, flat area that we had identified as the best spot to put the ship, but there's very little room for error on this. Otherwise, there's a fairly steep embankment that drops away closer to the middle of the bay. So we have a system of about a dozen or more ropes all the way around, holding it very precisely. There we have the air horn. I think that's the 1-minute warning. So the depth of 100 feet, so that means that the main decks will be approximately 50 to 60 feet, which is sort of the limit for recreational divers, and very top of the stack. Has to be at least 30 feet under mean sea level in order that it does not present a navigation hazard. And so we were able to find a very nice spot that's not too deep, but it at least gets within our minimum depth requirement. Brunswick calling in. Terry Bigelow, watching in Halifax, Nova Scotia, served on the sister ship to the Annapolis, the Nipigon. More from Halifax, several people on the East Coast. Wow! Well, that was a bit louder than I thought it would be. Very quickly, the ship is starting to sink. It's already, water is up over the into the engine room midship. Already down to below the level of the engine room cutouts. Now, only 30 seconds we're into this. It's going quickly. Wow. Going very quickly. Just over a minute after the first charge, and she's almost up to the main deck. Wow, that's a very quick sinking. The bow is now, you see some water spraying out of the bow through some of the vent holes. And the stern is completely under. Oh, there she goes, very quickly. Quite a roar of the water flying out. Down goes the stern. And the wow. Under 2 minutes. Farewell, Annapolis. She served Canada from 1950. And she now begins a new life as an artificial reef and providing marine habitat to Halckett Bay outside of Vancouver. I'm just going to do a quick, I'm going to leave, I think you want to watch this for a bit more. I'm going to show you just how many boats there are assembled around us. That was an amazingly quick sink. The last ship that I worked on, the Cape Breton, was more than twice as long to go down. So I'm amazed at how quickly it went. And now you can see all around the number of buoys, marker buoys and mooring buoys that we have for the dive boats that will be mooring up in order to take divers down and explore Annapolis and the marine life which will come and live on board. I just quickly have a look up around. You can see all of the boats now starting to depart. Good 200 to 250, I would estimate, in the whole area. Well, thank you very much, everyone who has tuned into this and watched the sinking of the former HMCS Annapolis. It's been a wonderful project, wonderful to see it finally come to a successful conclusion. And again, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the low-tech broadcast that we had.